So here I am on the published missed approach off the ILS runway 6 at Nantucket, and I now want to divert to my alternate, which in this case is going to be Martha's Vineyard. So I'm going to call ATC for that. Cape approach, Cirrus 178 Alpha Sierra is on the published missed out of Nantucket, 1,200, climbing 1,800. We'd like to request to change our destination to Martha's Vineyard.
Cirrus 178 Alpha Sierra, request received, hold at Nantucket as published, maintain 3,000. You can expect vectors to the RNAV runway 24 in 15 minutes.
Okay, climb and maintain 3,000, hold as published, Cirrus 8 Alpha Sierra. So now, how am I going to continue to hold as published while I prepare for my approach into Martha's Vineyard? Welcome to real world IFR. So here we are getting established on the missed approach at the Nantucket VOR, and we're going to enter the hold as normal. The great thing about the Garmin is it paints this beautiful teardrop entry. So now that we get established in the holding pattern at Nantucket, we have to start thinking about the alternate. And in this case, the alternate is Martha's Vineyard. But the problem is loading the next approach deletes the hold. So let's show that to you. So by hitting the procedure button, selecting the approach, hitting the clear button, and moving up to the airport field and changing the name from Nantucket to Martha's Vineyard. Then I press enter. I'm going to scroll down and choose the RNAV runway 24 approach. I'll scroll down and choose the choppy transition. And it asks me, do I wish to fly the course reversal? In this case, I'm going to tell it yes. Note it says activate. We'll come back to that, but note the word activate there. And now the problem is you're out of the hold and you're direct choppy.
Yeah, and if this happens, Mossy, ATC's going to call you up and say, well, where the heck you going?
You never want to hear them say that. One way you can solve this problem is to preload an approach into a flight plan and have it ready to activate. So here are the pro tips. Pro tip number 1 is set up your alternate airport in Flight Plan 3 or Flight Plan 4. So using Flight Plan 3, to edit the flight plan, all we simply have to do is, while we're holding, push the flight plan button. I'm going to come on over to Flight Plan page 2, which is my flight plan catalog. You can see we've labeled them here. Flight Plan 3 and 4 is for alternate 1 and 2. And I'm going to scroll on down to Flight Plan 3. I press enter, and now you can see here, I've got an approach already loaded in there. So if I want to load another approach into Flight Plan 3, here's the key point. Do not use the proc button. The proc button is for loading an approach into the active flight plan. What you want to use is the menu button. So let's show that to you. You push menu, you scroll down to select approach, we press enter, we turn the cursor off or hit the clear button, we're going to move up to the airport field, and we're going to change Teterboro to Martha's Vineyard. Then we press enter, I scroll down, I'm going to choose the RNAV runway 24 approach, I'll scroll down and choose the choppy transition. The Garmin asks me, do I want to fly the course reversal? I'll tell it yes. And now, note it says load. Well, that's what we want. We want to load this into Flight Plan 3. And now that we have the alternate Martha's Vineyard loaded into Flight Plan 3, I can continue holding. And now that I'm in the published holding pattern, once ATC says to me, you are now clear to Martha's Vineyard via direct to choppy, all I have to do is go to the flight plan, come over to the catalog, scroll down to Flight Plan 3, press the menu, and activate the flight plan.
Now make sure when you do that, you also activate the waypoint that you're heading to by proceeding direct choppy.
Agreed, because you never assume the Garmin got it right. And now you can see we are direct to choppy for the RNAV runway 24 approach at our alternate, Martha's Vineyard. Another way we can solve this problem is to use Garmin 2 as a sandbox. I already have my Garmin set up to manually crossfill. So what I'm going to do is continue to hold on Garmin 1 while I use Garmin 2 to build out my approach at the alternate. So I go to Garmin 2 and hit the procedure button, select the approach. I'm going to hit clear to cancel out the approaches at the airport I'm currently at. and I'm simply just going to scroll up and change the airport name to the alternate airport. Now that I have the airport name entered in, I press enter. I choose the RNAV 24 approach, and ATC has told me to expect the choppy transition. I'm going to tell it yes, I'm a hold. That would be a holding pattern, louver procedure turn. And in this case, I'm going to load it. And then ATC now keys up and says to me, Cirrus 8 Alpha Sierra, you're now cleared to the choppy intersection and expect the RNAV runway 24 approach. So in this case, all I simply have to do is go to Garmin 2. I like to be in the flight plan, hit the menu button, cross-fill, initiate the transfer, so I press enter a second time, and now this cross-fills the approach in Garmin 2 up into Garmin 1. If I go to the flight plan, I can see the approach there in Garmin 1, and what I simply like to do is highlight the waypoint choppy, direct, enter, enter, do my map integrity check, and then make sure I'm in nav mode, and I'm now off to my alternate. So remember, the pro tips are, number 1, set up your alternate airport in Flight Plan 3 or Flight Plan 4.
Or if you're lucky enough to fly with 2 Garmins, tip number 2 is set up your alternate airport in Garmin 2 as a sandbox.